Hey everyone, and welcome back to Hydra Hobbies. Today I've got something really cool for us to check out. At least I hope it's really cool. I haven't actually opened it yet. But if you're anything like me, you really love seeing new companies enter the hobby scene. It's great for everyone. It's good for the companies to have competition, it's good for the consumers to have options, it's good for the industry to have new people driving it. Today we're going to be checking out a company called Helios Tabletop. They're a relatively young company run by 3 people, and we're going to be checking out a product that they put out called a Mythic box. Let's get into it. Helios Tabletop is a Canadian company that works out of Toronto. Part of the reason I've been so interested in seeing what they have to offer is that they actually 3D print their miniatures on high-level industrial printers with a custom resin solution. I am a big fan of 3D printing, so I was very curious to see the level of detail that they could capture with that kind of knowledge and equipment, especially in contrast to what I can get at home with a 3D printer. And let me tell you, I was not disappointed. But we'll get into that. First, what is a Mythic box? It's a curated group of miniatures that comes with an encounter designed to use them that can easily be inserted into your game. It's not dissimilar to the idea of the Epic Encounters or Next Level Encounters boxes. But these products live or die based on 2 things: how cool the minis are and how good the encounter is. So let's start by having a look at the miniatures. This box of minis is undeniably Mind Flayer themed. It comes with a very large, very disgustingly detailed Elder Brain, which is a very chunky, hefty model, a nicely detailed Illithid, and a small handful of Intellect Devourers. Now, I have mentioned before how hard it is to get high detail D&D monster minis, and these definitely scratch that itch. The detail level is actually pretty incredible. Way beyond anything that can be done with home 3D printing, and just as importantly, it's actually way beyond anything I've seen offered by the major miniature companies. You'll see how much of a difference that makes when it's time to paint. But it also comes with a PDF encounter for these minis. Without going into too much detail, I don't want to give away their secrets, I'll say that the encounter is smartly designed, clever, and there is enough going on in it that it would be interesting and challenging for even seasoned adventurers. I love Mind Flayers and everything that goes with them, so I was interested in painting all of the minis, of course, but I actually think that's sort of in our nature as hobbyists anyway. But for this kind of test, there was really only one option: the Elder Brain. I mean, how could I not? I start by giving the Mini a Zenithal Prime with my airbrush. Now you'll have to forgive some of the lighting here. My airbrush spray booth is not my usual recording space. Once the Zenithal is done, I take some Express Color paints and lay down some base coats. Nothing crazy here. I start with a pink for the brain and then transition down into a purple on the body, and finally at the bottom of the tentacles I spray more of a violet color for an easy and simple transition. Now, this could be done just as well with wet blending and a brush if you do not have access to the airbrush. 90% of this is getting painted over anyway, so the smoothness of the transitions isn't really important. In this case, the airbrush is a time-saving tool. This gives me a good starting point, but I want to make the actual brain part more desaturated and gray, less cartoony. I start by taking a soft pink and dry brushing it over the entire surface. Now the detail on the Mini is more than crisp enough to allow this to be a great technique to use here. Once I get that first layer done, I continue on and do several more dry brush layers, each time adding a little bit more gray to the pink and using just a slightly lighter touch to layer it up. I'm using almost the same process to paint the tentacles, except instead of dry brushing, I'm using a more traditional volumetric highlight. I paint all of the upward facing surfaces with royal purple, leaving the original more violet color in the shadows. From there, layer after thin layer, I start to work in magenta, doing smaller and smaller highlights. The smallest and brightest highlight is pure magenta and is just used in very tiny dots on the highest points of the model or in places that I want to draw more attention. The process for the bony ends of the tentacles and for that horrifying face in front are even simpler. I start with an off-white to base coat them, and I do only a single highlight, even on the face, in a slightly lighter off-white. Now this might look a little rough right now, and some of the highlights on the tentacles aren't quite blended enough either, but don't worry, the next step is going to fix that. I know that can be a little nerve-wracking, but this really is one of those trust the process things. And that next step is, of course, an oil wash. This is a mix of Payne's Gray and black oil paint that is going over the entire miniature. This is going to bring out all of those amazing details in this sculpt and really help to show off the high quality of the print. While I do that, I'd like to thank you all for watching. More than that, I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters who do so much to keep the channel going and to keep me motivated. You really are the best. If you're watching this and you're interested in checking out the Mythic boxes for yourself, either as a one-off purchase or a monthly subscription, please check out the link in the video description below. If you purchase through that, then without costing you anything extra, the channel gets a nice little kickback to help keep things going. On top of that, go ahead and put in the code hydrahobbies at checkout and you'll get a generous 15% off your first order. It's a great way to support the channel, to support a small business that's new to the hobby space, and to get yourself some awesome minis and a fun encounter. Here is the final result on the Elder Brain. Not only does this miniature look fantastic, but as a testament to how fun and easy these are to paint, I have to admit, I actually rolled through the entire miniature set in a single weekend, just because I was having so much fun painting them. I really do love a lot of D&D monster designs, but in all honesty, companies like WizKids that refuse to keep up with modern standards sometimes make painting them a chore rather than a joy. And for a lot of painters who only paint for D&D, they might not even realize how fun it is and how much difference it makes to be painting a high quality mini. This project was an absolute blast and I can't recommend checking out Helios Tabletop enough. Go have a look. And you know what? Let me know in the comments what your favorite D&D monster is that just doesn't have a good miniature out there. I'd be really curious to hear what you all think some of the most underserved monsters are. Alright, thank you for watching. There is more content on the way, and I'll see you on the next one.